lock themselves in. Hunters have many options to choose from. Team SoloMid with 2 picks does get to answer whatever Hunters goes for here in a very concentrated way. It means Hunters need to be careful about not picking themselves into a corner.
Yeah, this is going to be a very telling pick. This basically determines how Hunters wants to play. So they actually go for the Skye, who I would expect to see a Weapon Skye coming out this matchup, but we'll see what their last pick is. But Team SoloMid, now they have to decide what they want to play against that, because this actually locks out a lot of the melee heroes. That means Team SoloMid should not be playing Rona.
Well, they're going to be picking up a Kroll for that melee hero, and this is one which is certainly able to function quite nicely into a Skye. You can, from Hell's Heart, whichever direction she's using the Surrey Strike in, makes it pretty easy to land. Plus, you just are fairly sticky, and that allows for you to chase onto that Skye too. Gwen as the final pick. What do you think of Team SoloMid's composition as a whole here, Zeke?
I actually think their composition works extremely well against what Hunter has picked up so far, but Hunter still has one more pick on the table. I feel like Team SoloMid, they're going to be very focused on locking down that Skye. Kroll and Gwen together can very easily get a stun combo onto that Skye, while Lyra is able to lock her down with the right bulwark.
What's the silver bullet here for Hunters? How do they finish off this draft?
I think they actually have a lot of options on the table. I'm not actually sure what they'll go for. They only have 1 second left. They actually locked into Batiste.
Wow.
That's an interesting pick, in my opinion, since Gwen will easily be able to skedaddle out of that, the Ordained, but being able to just push people away from the Skye will be extremely powerful and potent.
Yeah, there's a lot of good tools here that Hunters have to try and make space for Skye. Skye does do a lot of damage when you build her weapon. There's going to be opportunities to try and kite back, try and build up those breaking point stacks, I would assume, really get some damage in. It's all going to be about how TSM can set the pressure here, right? Though, because they have tools that just get them into a fight. So long as they can make an impact when they first go in, they should be able to do a good job here against Hunter's lineup.
Absolutely. It really comes down to how Flash is going to play this game, because having that Lyra on the field, using that Arcane Passage into the Bright Bulwark onto the Skye, will very immediately set up a very good direction for a team fight for Team TSM.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. I expect a lot of these fights, Hunters really rather avoid fighting in too tight a space. You need as many options for Skye to kite back and forth around as possible, because there are so many good tools on Team SoloMid to really set up the pressure. This is going to be an interesting game, Zeke, and a very telling one, as we mentioned. Hunters have had an incredible last season, an incredible year of competitive play. They're very dominant in China, but last Worlds, they did not quite live up to that hype. Can they do it this time? Team SoloMid, on the other hand, is an incredible dynasty of North America. Everyone knows their name. They've had some awesome performances. Let's head onto the Halcyon Fold.
Absolutely, and I'm very excited to see how these teams decide to start off their games, because they have so many options on the table right now. Will they go for the other trainer early on, or will they decide to just go for a standard jungle rotation?
Well, for the time being, looks like both teams just moving into the middle of the map, trying to set up something here. I'll be curious to see some of the early rotations from Flash X. Obviously, Lyra has a lot of options in the early game as to how she can play that. You know, she can go for an early lane gank. She can really pressure the jungle. She can try and set up for maybe an early team fight as well. The healing is very effective in the early game.
Absolutely, and this is actually something that's very interesting to see right at the start of the match, because we actually see Gwen going for Crystal. And a Crystal Gwen is actually extremely potent against both Batiste and Skye. However, she has to definitely get ahead in CS and get a lot of farm. Otherwise, being able to break through Batiste's healing is going to be incredibly tough, and especially for Kroll, being able to get around Batiste, who will be frontlining alongside the Arden for the Skye, getting to that backline will be very, very difficult.
I think it's going to be interesting to see how on point the Arden is when it comes to getting those Vanguards down, because it can negate a lot of the burst damage coming out from Crystal Gwen. If he's able to stick onto the right target, this is going to make the follow-up from Team SoloMid a little less impactful. You know, you don't have that consistent heavy carry damage that Weapon Power Gwen or other weapon carries might provide. It's going to be on Kroll, which is a little harder. It's harder to position effectively as a Kroll than it is someone like a Gwen to get the damage down.
Yeah, it's actually a very interesting matchup, because Kroll versus Batiste, both of them have some very good sustain coming out from the jungle, but one thing that Batiste brings to the table is the sheer amount of CC in his kit. Your Fearsome Shade along with the Ordained can really lock down the enemy carries and just prevent them from doing too much in a team fight. However, on the other side, it was really up to Flash X, as I said earlier. Getting that Bright Bulwark onto that Skye, or even just onto Arden, can completely shut down Hunters.
What do we think might be itemization choices for Kroll in this game? Because he's got so much he has to compete with when it comes to crowd control and peel for the Skye. I think obviously an early reflex block is going to be pretty useful. Getting early boots is going to be good. Might you consider going Aegis plus reflex block, though? I mean, you do have to get through a lot
not here?
I think that might be a little bit iffy. I would actually expect to see Poison Shift come out. Maybe not as a first item, but it would be incredibly potent just because being able to slow down the healing of Batiste, along with preventing a lot of the barrier coming out from the Vanguard of Arden, would be so important to take down that Sky.
Yeah, it's a very good point. On the other side, are we looking at any interesting build choices here for the side of Hunters? I feel like Sky is going to have a lot of the onus on her to deal a huge amount of damage here.
I actually really like the build that Harmonious is going for. A weapon blade along with Crystal means that his damage output will be very split early game, so it will be much harder to itemize just for the first few levels.
It also means you're not all in one basket of having to land your forward barrage, as Crystal Skies can sometimes fall into the trap of. I would expect, Harmonious probably going weapon ultimately in this game. Anyway, we're out of the pause though, guys. Team SoloMid versus Hunters. Very exciting game from the group of death here. Hunters already making that rotation, pull people up the lane. For the time being, at least, it is only Flash X holding down the fort here. Death Chuck was actually down in the jungle, I believe trying to accelerate Von C a little bit through the jungle.
Yeah, one thing I want to point out is that Team SoloMid actually left up their front camps, while Hunters was able to clear out the entire jungle very quickly.
Yeah, it's certainly kind of curious. Batiste does do a good job of just laying down a little damage to those camps. So it can be a little bit harder for Crow on that first pass to do a quick rotation. Team SoloMid, though, they did manage to pick up in exchange for diverting some of their attention away from those front camps. One of the early Elder Treants, now they're looking to get a second one with Von C soloing that out. They're doing a good job of overall trying to snowball through some of these big objectives.
Absolutely, and this is going to be extremely important for the next few minutes of the game because that experience lead is actually a huge part of how a team will get a lead come the mid game, because the first team that hits level 6, especially if Von C gets level 6 on that Gruul, is almost a certain kill onto either Harmonious or Scraggy.
Yeah, the ultimates on the side of Team SoloMid are very effective at locking someone down from Hunters, and at the 6th level mark, you don't necessarily expect to see reflex blocks in place. It's kind of your free opportunity to make a big play and snowball off the back of it if you execute properly.
However, one thing I want to point out very quickly is that look at Flash X's build. He has a very early reflex block, and this is going to be extremely important coming into the mid game, because being able to get out of that gauntlet very early on, or even avoiding the Ordained, to avoid this CC lock coming out from Hunters is so important. The death from above, Gauntlet, Ordained, Fearsome Shade is going to be very difficult to deal with.
Speaking of interesting builds, Harmonious going even further into the Crystal path here. So we were expecting maybe a Weapon Sky. This is going to be Double Crystal. That obviously has some fairly serious considerations around it, given the fact that Team SoloMid's defensive itemization is going to be very easy here.
Yeah, this is going to be very interesting, because one thing that Sky and Batiste are pretty good at is making sure that they don't take too much damage from that Gwen, and Crystal Gwen really relies on being able to poke out her opponents. But Sky's range is fairly long, so is Batiste. Batiste, if he gets a couple of Ordains onto the Gwen, that is a very easy kill.
Alright, so far there's been relatively little action in this game. Neither team wanting to commit to anything too early, neither team really hitting their power spikes that enable them to do so. This has allowed for Von C's Kroll to really start to ramp up nicely here, take those Elder Treants again and again, giving his team the experience lead. I think Hunters probably don't mind though. They don't want to risk giving anything substantial away in the gold department or actually losing farm time on Harmonious here, because he really does need to hit that first item spike to be able to fight effectively.
Absolutely, but one thing to point out is Von C is getting so much more experience in Scraggy in that jungle. He's only at 30 CS compared to Scraggy's 20, and jungle has just intensified. The shops are out, and this really gives Team SoloMid an easy opportunity to rotate down to go purchase.
They've got a Crucible now on Flash X as well, very early compared to maybe the typical Fountain Rush that you would see from these roams. This is an item that I honestly think, Liars can afford to go for. Sometimes they do have a lot of inherent healing in their kit, and of course when you're against ultimates like Fearsome Shade and the Gauntlet, you need to have that Crucible. It's going to be especially key for Von C because it allows him to stick onto the targets that he needs to. Sometimes as a Crow, you can be pretty much nullified come level 6 as you try and set up for a gank because of those big crowd control ultimates.
Absolutely, but Von C has picked that Shiver Steel, which will allow him to stick onto his targets much more easily. His goal now is to really get people to never get to Best Chuck. And if Best Shock is able to stay back and is constantly throughout those buckshot bonanzas, he's going to be doing so much damage to the side of Hunters that they really won't be able to heal it up or defend against it.
Alright, Vonsi's starting to get a little antsy here down in the jungle, starting to show some more tendencies of aggression, pushing in and trying to interrupt Swagyu's progress here. When are we expecting one of these aggressive maneuvers to actually fully commit? When are we expecting either TSM or Hunters to try and find that first kill patch?
I would actually expect TSM to make a move fairly quickly. It's probably within the next minute or so. They are able to do a lot of damage with that buckshot bonanza, and once Best Shock can hit Soul 6, which she just did right now, they should definitely go look for kills, because combining the Thumbtail's Heart alongside the Ace's High will lock someone down for long enough to kill them, especially if Flash X follows up with a Bright Bulwark.
Alright, well Hunters, they did just have a situation where Harmonious was forced back. It's not the end of the world though. This is an opportunity for him to buy items where Chuck cannot. Chuck's sitting on 1,400 gold here. If a fight breaks out right now, they are going to have more damage on the side of Hunters. But Godfather is really struggling in the levels department. He is still level 4 compared to the level 5 out of Flash X, who's already making his way towards 6 also. And on top of that, Godfather is also very far behind in items. Really needing to head down to that shop. He does just do it, taking that fountain, but here comes Von C, trying to start making some plays here. Good damage already down. Flash X wants to support him. This could be the turn onto Swagyu. He needs to get out of here. Flash popped. He is going to escape, but on the other side, good Ace's High locks down Harmonious. Best Chuck wins that trade also. So Hunters across the board coming out on the worst end of that trade and burning in some cases some cooldowns like that Flask. So Hunters can't be feeling too good about that. Maybe this is TSM's window, trying to set up a little bit more here. Bonsi got to be careful though, so see that above does get stunned up, has to back away. There's no fountain, keep in mind, on the side of Team SoloMid, which means they will not be able to sustain back if one of these fights does not go their way.
Yeah, one thing I just want to point out in terms of Harmonious' item build is he actually went for a very, very late Dragon's Eye, and that is not, as a build that means that you're very reliant on doing just a little bit of damage at a time. And that's actually incredibly smart against the team composition of Team SoloMid, because what they want to do is poke. They have to watch out for that shot, but all Harmonious needs to do is get one shot in and just back off.
Yeah, and certainly right now I think that's the smart play strategically or tactically anyway. It's very hard to commit on Team SoloMid given the fact that they've got the get out of jail free card of the Crucible, the Skedaddle, they've got healing. You don't want to go straight into a fight in that situation. You want to try and tease out some of those abilities, some of those effects that really allow for Team SoloMid to dictate the pace of these fights.
Yeah, it really looks like Hunters is trying to stop the game a lot because relying on that Dragon's Eye means that they are going for a mid kill.
Harmonious! That was a lot of damage down onto him. Fountain does come out to keep him healthy. Von C's playing with fire here under that turret, but is going to be able to get out of there. Again, a very good trade for Team SoloMid. They burned from Hell's Heart for it. But even still, they're in the driver's seat here, and that turret is already quite close to going down. Team SoloMid, the first blood for the tower.
Yeah, this is not to be unexpected though, because Hunters has built a team composition that's much better in the late game. Skye, as everyone knows, does huge amounts of damage come the mid to late game once she gets about 2 or 3 items. Once she picks up her next item, she should be incredibly hard to deal with. But for now, as long as Hunters doesn't start giving up kills, they should actually be okay for the next few minutes.
Yeah, you can see that even with that early tower pressure, even with the fact that SoloMid have certainly been the ones setting the pace of this game, they're not substantially far ahead. They're about 1,000 gold ahead, which, considering that Hunters wants to play slower, is not a position that is that devastating. Also, I feel like Team SoloMid have abused their power spike and not really gained that much from it. You know, they used their first rotation of ultimates. What was accomplished? Just that one turret. That's not really what you want to have happen when you have the incredible burst damage and lockdown that does. Flash X, Best Chuck driving forward though. Maybe they'll find an opportunity to go for more. Von C wants it. Great from Hell's Heart comes in. That's the gauntlet, but isn't going to be able to lock down TSM. They want to keep moving in. Von C on the back line is taking a lot of damage. They need Chuck to get in range. Von C goes down first. Hunters, they're on the counterattack. Best Chuck cannot get out of here. Surely, Harmonious, he's trying to get in, but good body blocks out of Flash X. Not quite going to be enough, though. Harmonious wants more. Stun on the Flash. He's going in with the damage. Another 4th barrage would do it. That's the reset from the Surrey strike. They can't quite get in range, though. Godfather's tanking up the turret. Come on, Harmonious. He can't quite get there. Flash X should be able to get away. It's not going to be the ace for Hunters, but what an incredible tournament.
And this is why Harmonious' build is so incredible, because he knows Flash X, Vonsi, all they want to do is soak up damage for Best Chuck. And what do you get if you soak up damage for that long? Well, Harmonious just came out with a 9-stack Dragon Eye.
Yeah, that was a very nice fight by Hunters. They played it just the way they needed to. Let's take stock of what's happened as a result, though. The gold swing has not been substantial. In fact, the differential is about the same. But Hunters did get pressure on the map, and Godfather has picked up actually a contraption off the back of that exchange. This is very interesting. We have seen a lot of these flanking pincer plays from Vonsi, trying to move into the jungle, get from Hell's Heart from the Fog of War. With a contraption, it's really going to shut down TSM's windows of opportunity to go for engagements, I feel.
Absolutely. However, Vonsi has picked his breaking point, which I actually don't think is the right choice here, because there's so many ways for Hunters to heal for Harmonious that Swagyu, his Fearsome Shade, the Ordain, the Gauntlet, the Vanguard, there's so many ways to keep Vonsi off his targets. That breaking point might not be the most effective pickup here.
Alright, TSM very aggressively posturing here. You can see these buckshots doing some serious work. Skedaddle is going to keep Best Chuck in relative safety. Hunters do not have that. Oh! Necessary strike directly into the stun from Hell's Heart to keep the fight moving. They've burned a lot of abilities from the side of Hunters, but Vonsi is getting annihilated on the front line. Where was Best Chuck? He was not backing up his teammate there, Team SoloMid on the run. They've been routed by Hunters. But Hunters, they know that given that they've already burned, for example, that fountain, there's only so much they can do in a chase here, and Best Chuck is actually thinking about coming back in. A bold decision, if you ask me, especially with Flash X, a little bit too extended on the front line. That's going to be the ace high, though. Swagyu goes down. Best Chuck is able to find a little something. Is he going to be able to get out of this one, though? Harmonious has a lot of damage right now. We need those body blocks. Best Chuck finds a second kill. Harmonious, he jumps on him, though. That's going to be the trade. Harmonious looking for more onto Flash X. Flash X very good at getting out of these situations, but I don't know about this one. Harmonious has a lot of energy to work with. Flash X is not going to get away. Vonsi just not getting here quickly enough. He should be able to get out of this one, though, keeping himself out of range of that forward barrage. Unless Harmonious keeps making these outplays, man, this could happen. Vonsi's forced to turn around. He doesn't have any option. But Harmonious, has he overcommitted? Vonsi on top. He's got to back away. Death from above doing so much work. Vonsi gets played by Swagyu like he just tried to play Harmonious.
Harmonious, that was incredible. He was able to completely outplay the entire team of TSM right there. He was able to dodge around Flash Chuck's buckshots. He was able to kill Flash X even though he was being juked for ages. But Vonsi, he came just a second too late. His From Hell's Heart had 1 second left on it. He was not able to save Flash X in time. If he was, there was no way Harmonious was dealing with that kill. But that was incredible.
Zekan, we posed a question prior to the beginning of this game. We said this is the group of death. A lot of people talking about Hunters in the scene, but are they going to be able to pull through? We saw what they did at Worlds last year. It wasn't quite there. Right now, they look incredibly tight. They are not making necessarily, with the exception of perhaps that last outplay by Harmonious, flashy plays, right? But they are playing consistently very, very well. They're abusing any misstep that Team SoloMid makes. The pressure is on TSM right now to try and find an exchange that doesn't end up going bad for them. You know, they need to have something that just goes their way so that they can actually start to snowball this game a little bit more.
Yeah, this is actually a very dangerous time for TSM because they don't actually have the weapon damage coming out from Vonsi quite yet, and they are very reliant on it because Best Chuck, even though Crystal Gwen does a ton of damage. Oh, here's a fight.
Yeah, Flash X got locked in by that Ordain, but they're already going to be able to get out. That's a good stun chain going on to Swaggy, but now they got to take that portal out of there. Vonsi stunned up by Ordain yet again. Now the turn. TSM, they want to get onto Swagyu. They need to deal with Harmonious, though. That's where the damage is coming from. He is on the flank, annihilating Flash X. That's going to be the pop of the Crucible to get him from that death from above. Best Chuck is sitting on the flank. He needs to try and dip in here, get some first damage down. Vonsi, he wants to get on the back line. Godfather is taken quite low, but Vonsi again just cannot stick long enough. Flash X takes one for the team. He goes down. Vonsi follows. Hunters. That fight was a fight that they started and they won. The tables have truly turned on the early game dominance that Team SoloMid exhibited.
This is exactly what I was about to say. Best Chuck, even though he does a ton of damage to every single buckshot, it only comes up every few seconds. While Harmonious on the other side, Surrey Strike, resetting his forward barrage, just forward barraging all oil plays, dropping death from above. He does so much more damage than Best Chuck right now, and his mobility is off the charts.
Yeah, this is starting to get to a very scary point for Team SoloMid. You got to keep in mind that Swagyu is dealing pretty considerable damage too, and the way that Hunters can actually leverage that is fundamentally different than the way that Team SoloMid can. TSM needs the entire team to kind of be on one target, to kind of be going together, grouped up, chasing down Hunters. But Hunters, they can play in a very spread out formation. They do not need Harmonious and Swagyu to necessarily focus fire one target, because they can take longer fights. They can take their time. Kraken has now spawned onto the map. Maybe TSM uses this as an anchor point for engagement, but Hunters, I don't think they're afraid of making that happen. Let's see those 5 checks. Wants to go in. That's a good stun chain yet again. Swagyu on the front line is getting eaten up. Fonzie's got to be careful, though. The damage is there. Harmonious finds him. He's going to turn and look for more. Best Chuck, can he get out of here? FlashX is doing great at the body blocks. Certainly seems like maybe, as Godfather tries to get out of here and avoid giving away that ace to Team SoloMid.
But look at the mini-map. The sheer number of scout traps that are on the field for Hunters now is absolutely crazy. They have every single quadrant of the map basically covered. Barring the Crystal Sentry of Team SoloMid, there is no that Hunters does not see.
Yeah, this is a very dicey situation for Hunters here. They did have a ton of gold to spend off the back of taking down 3 turrets there, so you can see that Harmonious was able to pick up a nice item for himself. Similarly, Godfather, I believe, picked up that Atlas. So Hunters, you know, they've got some new toys to play with in this next fight. Team SoloMid is going to need to have another one of those very impressive turnarounds in order to stop them from running through the defenses of TSM here, especially when now only 2 turrets standing. Hunters don't have that much work to do to take down the visitors.
Yeah, I absolutely love Harmonious's item build, actually. Even with Harvest coming out with the Dragon's Eye, Clockwork, Broken Myth, he doesn't do a ton of damage, but he does very, very, very consistent damage, and especially with the sheer amount of lockdown that Team SoloMid has, being able to constantly hit that Surge Strike back up through the use of Clockwork is incredible.
Yeah, it's also difficult for TSM to play their game plan against Harmonious here, because he's only in range so often, unless you get somehow that stun lock onto him, which typically they've been finding on Godfather or Swagyu most commonly. But in addition to that, anytime you're not on Harmonious, he's sustaining back up with speed, which makes it really difficult for the damage that Best Chuck does, admittedly, quite a lot of to stick.
Yeah, right now I think the play that Team SoloMid needs to make is to use that Arcane Passage from FlashX to jump on Harmonious and just basically have everyone dogpile onto him immediately before Swagyu and Godfather can respawn. If they don't use it that way, Swagyu and Godfather will just continuously body block for Harmonious, and there's not much TSM can do.
Alright, the calm before the storm here. Both teams poking out a little bit. FlashX thinking about going in, doesn't beat out more gain from Batista from above. Trying to
Here we go!
Happen though. Harmonious very low! He doesn't even get damage down in that fight! Team SoloMid, this one's over before it even starts. Hunters cannot get out of there. Swagyu getting annihilated as Best Chuck runs in with Von C. Godfather is going to be able to get back to the platform, but Team SoloMid, that fight was on a different level to what we saw from them in the last couple of minutes.
Yeah, that's exactly how TSM wants to play. They have to make sure they take out Harmonious first thing. If they ever let him build up stacks of Dragon's Eye, especially now he has the Eve of Harvest, there's no way they're going to take him down unless Von C is able to stick on him forever to get those breaking point stacks up, which is not going to happen. Best Chuck A takes down a turret. Godfather not going to be able to do too much here, and the Kraken is low.
Yeah, he's actually got to be a little careful too. I mean, we do have good damage coming out of Best Chuck, although scout traps are the captain's main way of doing damage at the stage. See Best Chuck eating a couple of those. Harmonious making his way in. He's got to be careful not to overextend, but Kraken stealing away by Hunters could be massive if they pull it off. Looks like Hunters don't want to take that risk. Team SoloMid will secure that one. How can they make this push happen, Zekent? Do they have the ability to do as much damage to as Hunters get away with?
I think this is actually a very good opportunity for TSM because even though Hunters is able to do a huge amount of damage to Kraken, if they are dealing damage to Kraken, they aren't hanging members of TSM. And I believe Kraken will be able to almost make it into the base of Hunters without taking too much damage as long as TSM follows it up closely.
Alright, Team SoloMid making a massive push here. Everyone knows the Team SoloMid is special. Maybe they'll be trying to pull that one off here. We do have some good damage out of Hunters. It's a little bit different. SoloMid before the Kraken goes down. So far, ooh, ace is high. Their Harmonious dashing into the fight very boldly. But still, SoloMid don't necessarily want to count this one just yet. One turret here, falling. Gauntlet. Godfather knows he needs to make Team SoloMid back off here before it's too late. Shots keep on coming, doing some good work. Another ace is high, goes wide, above. Gonna stun up Von C, but Flash X needs to get out of there. That's the fountain pop. Swagyu, he's trying to get in range. Harmonious chasing Flash. He's able to get out of there though. Von C, he is very weak on the front line, has to get away. Flash actually feared into the wall. That could be bad news for him, but Best Chuck does get out of there. Team SoloMid did not commit properly to that fight, although Kraken did take down one turret on the Bane Crystal. So overall, Team SoloMid turrets, but I think Hunters, with a lot of momentum off the back of that fight, should be able to take map pressure.
Yeah, this is going to be extremely difficult for both teams because right now, even though Hunters had a lot of vision control on the map, they still do have a lot of vision control on the map. TSM, they have managed to get a lot of vision of their own. Flash X, he has a contraption now. He actually has an extra Aegis to make sure that he doesn't get locked down and killed. So this is actually a very dicey situation for both sides.
I really like the additional Aegis actually, because in a lot of these fights, the way we're seeing things kick off is Ordained goes on the Flash X, because then immediately, if he tries to portal Bulwark, he can't bulwark because he's stunned from the Ordained. So trying to actually have the Aegis for that, and then you can save your Crucible for when, oh, there's a Gauntlet or, you know, Fearsome Shade, something more substantial that affects your team that you need it for, makes actually a lot of sense, I think, here from Team SoloMid. Hunters, look at the vision they're laying down, though. It's going to be very difficult for Team SoloMid to do anything without the Hunters realizing. Team SoloMid does have the ability to pretty, you know, rapidly make a fight engagement happen, though. Bright Bulwark, very good for that.
Yeah, things are actually going to be very difficult for Hunters starting at this point because Team SoloMid, Hunters had their chance. They were able to get a huge advantage off the back of Harmonious's Skyplay. However, now Team SoloMid has Aegis on almost everyone. Or, they do have it on everyone. The amount of damage that will be making is going to be dramatic.
Ordained burn very early, as is the Gauntlet. See some good stuns coming out onto Godfather right off the bat. That does mean that the engagement has to be called off. Godfather did not burn any activated, but still has Fountain. Still has that Crucible and the Atlas. Godfather's either. That's going to be another Gauntlet coming through. Flash X this time is feared into it, but a good reflex block animation there. Coming out too bad news. Swagyu not going to get locked down, but Best Chuck and Von C both still very healthy. If they want to go in, maybe they can find a window here. Gotta look at those cooldowns. 15 seconds on the Aces high. Best Chuck looking for that one. Really kick things off. Alternate reflex blocks are available. Keep in mind, hook shot slows every single time That does mean a lot of windows here. You're going to
Yes.
face this high. Does connect onto someone who isn't Godfather getting stunned up. That could be a good setup here. Can they get the damage down? Von C into choke point. Easy target for Harmonious. We need more body blocks. Flash X trying to do just that. Turns up on the back line. He finds one kill, but he trades so much health for it. Harmonious is on fire right now, trying to get around the edge of the fight. Von C needs to stick on top of him. He's looking for Godfather.
No!
Can't even do that. Harmonious is a monster right now. Flash X, the best he can do is delay the inevitable. He's looking for Godfather. It ain't gonna happen. He should be able to stay alive long enough that the waves aren't quite in the ideal position.
He's still going.
For Hunters to actually pick up this next kill, though, of the turret. Oh, if he gets out of here. No way.
No,
okay,
okay.
Harmonious surely got him! Surely! Surely he's got him!
Flash X.
Good lord!
Literally saving the game right
avoids an
now.
ace! Alright. Finally! Flash X goes down. Still, Hunters, I mean, yeah, they can maybe get Kraken down off the back of that. I'm not sure. I think Harmonious
got
does have
this.
the damage.
He has a ton of damage.
But still, that could have been game ending. You know,
That absolutely would have ended the game if Flash X not survived for so long. If he died just like 10 seconds earlier, I'm sure Hunters would have just stormed into the base of Team SoloMid and ended the game. But because he was able to stay alive for 15-20 seconds, he completely saved the game for TSM.
That was pretty incredible. I got to give it to Flash X. This is a player that has been around Vainglory for so long, he knows how to make these situations work for him. Right now, though, Hunters have got a Kraken on their side, pushing into the base of TSM. It's do or die here. Team SoloMid needs to defend this push. They need to find that window of opportunity. Take out Harmonious, or this game will go the way of Hunters. They've just got too much pushing power coming in right now. Where's that engage going to happen, ZK? When's the opportune moment for TSM to say, all right, we plant our flag in the ground here?
So TSM is just going to keep kiting Hunters back, but the danger here is that TSM doesn't have any damage to do against Kraken. Cruel, he has a Star Blade, but the breaking point is not helping him deal damage to Kraken. Crystal Gwen is incredibly weak at taking down Krakens. You'll see the health bar go down right here. It just goes down so slightly, so they have to take it anymore. They have to make sure Hunters is not able to output any damage on the turret, or else Kraken will be able to end the game.
Actually, the Gauntlet coming out from Godfather Flash X does get stunned up, has to pop that Arcane Passage backwards. You see that Hunters, their priority here is those objectives. They need to get the turrets down. Swagyu doing good damage on the bottom side of this map. That's the best. Oh, he's looking for it. That's a good stun onto Godfather. Delays that fountain for a very long time, but the capitalization not quite there in time from TSM. They can't find the kill. Harmonious is doing a lot of work, staying alive, keeping his distance. Flash X, he's not going to be able to pull another one of those great escapes. Chuck, he needs to kill someone sometime here for them to be able to defend. Kraken is on the Vein Crystal. Harmonious, he's forced back, but Von C goes down. Godfather, he's looking for the end of the game. Chuck cannot stand. Hunters takes game one against Team SoloMid.
And that game, you said it was going to be telling. I'm still not sure what this means. That was such a close match between both TSM and Hunters that I'm not even sure who will take the next game.
I don't think you can predict it just off